Hello, everyone. My name is Claudia Summers, and welcome to the forum. We got a couple minutes before we'll get started, so if you would like, please enter into the chat function where you're from and maybe a question that you might have for Cass before we get started. And we will hold the question till the end, but we would like to know if you have questions. So just at least put where you're from within the chat, and we'll get started here in just a second. Hi, Stephanie, you got a question? I see the chat function's off. I'll fix it for you guys. Hold on just a second. For some reason it's off, but it says it's on. There we go. That should do it for you. All right, we got about 2 minutes before we get started. I think I fixed the chat function for you. If you would, just put where you're from in the chat, and we'll get started in just a second. If you have questions, we do have the chat function open for questions, and also the Q&A section is open as well. It's a little easier if it's in the Q&A section if you want to enter your questions there. But if you can't find it or you would prefer to do it in the chat, that's fine. All right, got about a minute, a little under a minute left. All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone. My name is Claudia Summers, and will be your moderator today for the National Instructor Forum. The forum was created as a collaborative effort between the National Safety Council, the National Child Passenger Safety Board, and the Safe Kids Worldwide as a way for technicians and instructors to expand their knowledge and reach on topics related to child passenger safety, and to help each other foster program longevity. Any child passenger safety technician is welcome to the forum. Some of the topics are instructor related or instructor focused, but all of the topics we addressed in the National Instructor Forum benefit all child passenger safety technicians. We welcome you to attend, learn, and network. We do have a presentation today, but after the presentation, you're welcome to come off mute and ask questions and interact with those on the call. In fact, we encourage you to do that. We would like to stress that if you're attempting to participate in this forum while operating a motor vehicle, we ask that you disconnect from the webinar now and plan to view it at a later time when it is safe to do so. Today we have Cassandra Herring from Safe Kids Worldwide. She is the Senior Director Senior Director of Road Safety and Child Occupant Protection with Safe Kids Worldwide. She is providing an update to the National Child Passenger Safety Technician Certification Curriculum. And it's the next step from what you heard in September, if you were here with us in September when Tammy Franks provided the curriculum update. So Cass is here today to help you understand how Safe Kids is going to support you in the new curriculum. Tammy is also with us today so she can support you with your questions related to curriculum. And the National Child Passenger Safety Board, Safe Kids Worldwide, and the National Safety Council continue to be dedicated to helping you feel prepared for the curriculum update and to feel empowered to provide it to your communities. To continue that focus, we are joined by Cassandra today, and she is here to provide you an update on what you can expect from the certifying body. Again, we will have an open Q&A. If you use your functions in the Teams account here, you can go to the Q&A and enter any questions that you may want to ask without verbally asking at the end. And we will definitely address those at the end. With that, I will turn it over to Cass.
Thank you, Claudia. Just a note, if any of you guys were at Kids in Motion, this is the same presentation, but I did leave plenty of time at the end so we can have discussion and get to your questions. So a lot of this will build on the information that Tammy shared previously about the updates to the curriculum. I want to stress this. All instructors and instructor candidates will receive a physical copy of the instructor guide. It will not reach you if the correct address is not in your certification profile. So please log into your certification profile and update that address in the mailing address section of your profile. It will be on the left-hand side. You'll go to update profile and you can find that there. We'll be sending out reminders through December and past December as well for you to ensure that you have the correct address in your profile. That's the way that we know where to send the information. This is what that tab looks like. It's under the address tab on your certification profile, and just make sure that it's an address where you can receive FedEx. So we're looking at the instructor guide timeline. Digital launch of curriculum, as Tammy mentioned in the previous webinar, we're aiming for December the 2nd. You'll be able to access those through the instructor downloads link with the same password, but it will go to the same site it does currently. We are looking at shipping of the instructor guides in mid-December. Everyone who receives an instructor guide will get a notification email with tracking information. So you should know when it's coming and where it's coming to. The requirements for completion of the certification course have not changed. For in-person or hybrid delivery, I did borrow this great graphic and kind of split it in half to show you what that is. So in-person or hybrid, they have to attend the entire training. For hybrid, they have to complete 100% of the online learning modules and attend all in-person sessions and attend all virtual sessions. They must participate in class discussions, participate in practice activities, and pass 3 quizzes with a minimum of 42 out of 50 questions answered correctly, and pass all 4 skills evaluations. So what's new when we're talking about the quizzes? We have really taken your suggestions to heart. We understand that, there were some difficulties in the quizzes that we had previously, and so we have made an attempt for plain language, intentionally made fewer word problems, and ensured that the terms align with the new glossary of terms, so that we're consistent throughout the quizzes, the skills, as well as the curriculum. We also have shifted where the quizzes are. So quiz 1 will consist of modules 1 through 4, so content for modules 1 through 4. Quiz 2 will consist of content for modules 5 through 8, and quiz 3 consists of modules 9 through 12. We were very intentional as well on making sure that the quizzes were more balanced. So we don't have one quiz that has 17 questions and one that has 12. The intention was to spread it out throughout the curriculum. For skills, we have made a few updates. And so for skills 1, we have 4 scenarios reduced from 5. We've updated the terminology to reflect the glossary of terms and retractor type as referenced in module 4. The vehicle owner's manual is only required in 3 of the 4 scenarios. And so we understand from the field that the diversity of latch plate and retractor types are not as much as we have once seen. And so that's why we went to 4 scenarios with skills 4, or skills 1, my apologies. For skills 2, we have reduced the harnessing scenarios to 3, with 9 total scenarios reduced from 10, with the intention to still have the technician candidates just demonstrate their learning, but hopefully give you a little bit of time back as we get more familiar with the reduced number of scenarios and skills 2. I think one of the things that we're most excited about, and one of the things that we have heard the most from the field, is that we needed to look again at skills 3 and the images. So we have 9 images now, reduced from 16. We have added additional context. And what that means is we have added vehicle manuals as well as car seat manuals for context. So if we're asking a question about whether the seat is correct in that seating position, where we're providing you the additional information to help technicians answer those questions. We have reduced the number of total questions for skills 3 to 30, reduced from 34, and passing for skills 3 is 24 out of 30 questions answered correctly. So that would be 80%. For the location of the skills, we have skills 1 after module 6, skills 2 after module 10, skills 3 after module 10, and skills 4 at the end of module 12. So here's an example, and I overlaid some of these pictures, and they're much more high quality in print of what some of the context that will be added for skills. So you can see here that we have an excerpt from the vehicle owner's manual, and you can see different angles of the installation with the intent to give as much of the view of the vehicle to the student as possible. For instructors, we also will have a new requirement starting in February of 2025. We are working on finalizing a new required course for instructors. The intent of this is to increase knowledge and also to increase the quality assurance of the program. This is a nationally standardized certification, and it's important that we have a nationally standardized delivery of the certification. So one of the steps that we're doing is this course requirement. It will be approximately an hour. This will not be an extra thing. that instructors have to do, as we're allowing for this to be one of your continuing education units for instructors, but it is a required CEU for instructors. You will have to complete this course once per certification cycle, and we will work with our collaborators and make sure that that is updated annually. The content of this instructor course will be an interactive overview of policy and procedures, current curriculum. So that includes our glossary of terms. It will also include mentoring and course administration. We completed a certification needs assessment last year and have been kind of working on finalizing the analysis of this needs assessment. But the information that will be included in that instructor course came from not only the field, but also from responses to the survey. So you may have noticed that we had in that previous slide that mentors was a part of that required training. And so one of the things that we asked to technicians and instructors in this assessment was the potential barriers to recertification. And we know that there are changes with jobs and financial changes, and so we're looking to address those in other ways. But I think a theme throughout our needs assessment was lack of access to other technicians and mentors. And so we really want to work, starting with our instructors, on mentorship and seeing how we can support you guys as well as new technicians in this process and maintaining certification. We also ask technicians and instructors what forms of mentoring they received after initial certification. And so we have a pretty good response from the communication from the instructor team, invitation to participate in local events and CEU updates. But where we see some kind of staggering results is guidance on policy and procedure, as well as the number of respondents that did not receive any mentoring after initial certification for both technicians and instructors. And so we want to provide better resources in order to help facilitate some of those gaps. And so when you look specifically at instructors on mentoring received, we see again this 20% that didn't receive any mentoring, and we also have a low number when we're looking at policy and procedure guidance. It is higher than the technicians overall, but we also see the communication styles and looking at differing needs of students is one that was not as highly responded to. And so we'll look to work with partners on how we can provide resources to assist with that as well. So in Tammy's presentation, they spoke about looking towards Spanish translation by mid-year next year. And so as certification, it's really important that we have resources ready that are translated as well. So what we'll do, and this is just a progression and what the plan is for certification, is we'll begin translating materials once this current everything is approved and finalized. Curriculum will, we also want to translate the material, but also do a peer review. If you're interested in participating in that and you you speak Spanish, then I would love to work with you on that. What we'll do is translate quizzes and skills first. Then we'll translate CPST and CPSTI materials, followed by policy and procedure and FAQs. We are also looking at, based on feedback from the field and our assessment, for a need of a little bit of diversification in the CEU process, is a little bit of change to the CEU process. So we will be providing updates to policy and procedure in later December, maybe beginning of January. And one of those things will include an update to the CEU process. We have had a ton of respondents who are interested in a work group where we will work through this, what processes look like, and implementation. So look for an update on this in late November, early December. For what we're looking at is right now our CEUs are very much focused on CPS technical information. We understand that it's important to include communication, to include programming, to include working in groups that in communities that consist of groups that have been marginalized and underserved. And so we really want to take a second look at having potentially 2 tiers of our CEU. So we'll have a technical component to it, as well as more of a community education component that will also reshape a little bit what our community education requirement looks like for technicians. That's not adding requirements. It'll still be 6 CEUs. There will still be a community education component, but we'll just update the wording and what those processes look like. Oh, I jumped ahead of myself. So look for the updates to policy and procedure manual in December, CEU process updates, course administration updates, and course accommodation updates as well. Those are some of the things that we're looking at making updates to in the policy and procedure. We are also working on updates to the certification platform. So we will let you know when this option is available, but we're working on an option to receive text reminders for recertification. And so that would be an opt-in. It's not a requirement. But we know that people receive messages in different ways. And so in an attempt to get around bounce backs from firewalls and things of that nature, we are looking at that option for your profile. We have completed state workforce analysis profiles for all states. They aren't up on cert.safekids.org just quite yet, but if you would like to see those for your state, I'm happy to send them to you. It includes an overview of where CPSTs and CPSTIs are by county, and it includes a historical look at recertification rates by county as well. This is an initial part of the project, and we will eventually have a dashboard available for you to look at to see, you know, where technicians and instructors are available by county, and that will help in planning courses and understanding where there may be gaps in service for technicians available to the community. So that's the presentation, and I know that there were some questions already in the chat, and so I'd love to just dive in.
Thank you, Cass. let's see if I see any question. Can we find out if there will be a period when the old curriculum cannot be taught? Is there a moratorium? How late into January can the current curriculum be taught? So we'll break that down. Is there a time period when the old curriculum cannot be taught? I think that would be a Tammy question.
So I think either of us can answer this.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Go ahead, Cass, if
Yeah.
you want to answer it.
So as far as your and technician guides and registration in the system, you can register a class that will be the 2020 curriculum until February the 2nd, basically. So February the 3rd, the new curriculum will be taught. So we'll be sending out the manuals for 2024 for any class that's registered from February 3rd on.
Excellent.
So you can teach a class at the very end of January in the 2020 curriculum. That's okay.
Thank you, Cass. We have a question regarding the dashboard. With the new dashboards, will there be a way of tracking expiration dates for the techs?
No, it doesn't go into that much detail. So there are PII concerns about providing that information in a public format. So it would just be a county level and looking at workforce, not specifically access to their information. So if you look at how we search for technicians right now on the certification page, it brings each one up individually, and part of that is security features, so we can't have all of their data downloaded at once. But if you work with your state contact, they may have that information.
I think you said this already, but will the new manuals be sent out to us automatically?
When you register the course, you will add the number of manuals that you need for the course in the field for registration. So they are scheduled to be sent at a 28-day interval prior to the start of your course. And that's why we have a 4-week requirement prior to registration.
And as far as the instructor manuals, they will be sent automatically using the address that you have, the shipping address you have in your profile at cert.safekids.org.
Yeah, those will be automatically sent. You do not have to opt in for those. And I didn't touch on this in my presentation, but we will be printing a set of high quality skills 3. We'll just call it a resource that we'll be sending to all lead instructors. And so you will keep that. We have made an update in the instructor prep guide that students should not write on those, because those will be the tests for your future courses. But in our pilots, those were received very well, just because it was a better quality than what we have provided in the past.
Excellent. I have another question. Can you go over the timing for the CEU updates again? The slide said November 2025, but I did not understand correctly that this is the date that those are expected to go in effect.
They won't go into effect then. You'll just have additional information by that point. So I don't have a date yet for the changes to the CEUs. So just be looking for information for that. The hope is to have that available in February, but I can't promise that right now. We'll have to do some reviews on processes just to make sure we get it right. So we'll give you specific guidance on that, and we can have some flexibility in conversations on pre-approvals for those types of things. But I think that the intent of this is to be able to provide credit for CEUs for a wider variety of topics, still specific to child passenger safety technicians and instructors.
And we had the question of where do we send our interest to assist with Spanish translations?
I will put my email in the chat.
Thank you. Will there be a formal mentorship program for CPSTs and instructors? This would be a great help for those communities where there is only one newly certified child passenger safety technician.
So we're working towards understanding where the gaps are as far as what that looks like. So we'll continue to provide to survey technicians and instructors where the need is. Ideally, we would like to get to that point. And so anyone who has had experience or ideas about that, we'd be happy to hear those. At this point, it will initially be guidance and guidelines for mentorship, as well as including the mentorship piece into the required instructor course.
I'm not sure which one of you will be better to answer this one, but will the new curriculum include more hands-on time for installations? Most of my students have asked to have more time during the course. I've tried to offer more installations after class hours, but usually only get a couple of future techs to participate.
So I think I can answer that one. So thank you. And yes, we have worked to build in additional time in modules 8 and 9, which would be rear facing and forward facing car seats for hands-on time. And then I do have a follow-up that I received via text. Thank you for the applause. Appreciate it. Somebody who keeps getting dropped by Teams, but they are inquiring, and this is a question for Cass. Can you laminate the skills 3 pictures or that are received?
We are exploring all options for sustainability of those resources. Otherwise, we would be sending you new ones when you need them. And so we're looking at all of those options, even thicker paper, as well as pre-hole punched and all of those things. So they will be separate from the book. No more tearing quizzes out of the book. You will have a separate resource as a lead instructor. And so we know the course sizes are different, and we're looking at all of those factors to ensure that you have what you need, and that it is a fair testing skill for the students.
I think that answered the next question that I had about the skills 3 being separate from the book. So you got that one. Will there be a way for instructors to get expiration dates for their techs in their counties and nearby counties? This is so we can contact them directly to see if they need assistance for recertification.
So my best advice right now is to work with your CPS state contacts who have access to that information. We are limited on all of the information that we're able to provide about people's certification and recertification, and any PII, especially if they're not listed as public on their website. So as the lead instructor, you can maintain that information for any people who are part of your course, but for people who you did not teach, that information you can have a conversation with your state contacts to understand if there's information that they can help connect you with technicians in those counties that are close to you.
Okay. I think this question is for clarification. Do the instructors have to make copies of skills 3 for the students, or do you send enough to them?
Please don't
Okay.
do that. We know that quality is different depending on the different printers, whether we have color or not. The intention is for us to provide you with high quality resources where it will be easier for technicians to identify the misuses in those scenarios. We have also simplified the ask. Is the chest clip correct? Is the tether correct? As opposed to, is the installation correct? So really being specific about the questions that we're asking.
Okay, another question is, will all lead instructors receive the items in advance, or will you receive them as you in advance of a course as you schedule a course?
So all lead instructors will receive Skills 3 as soon as we have them printed and in our warehouse. New lead instructors will receive those once you take the lead instructor quiz. You'll receive those as we go along. Your technician guides will come whenever you register courses. Your instructor guides will come as soon as we have them in the warehouse and we can get them shipped out to you. So we're looking at shipping date probably of mid-December. So depending on where you live, that may be a few weeks.
And I can add on to that as well. On Monday, December 2nd, on cpsboard.org/instructor-resources, all digital assets or resources will be made available. So don't everybody go there at 7 a.m. Eastern time and crash our server on Monday morning, December 2nd. But if you spread it out during the day, we should be just fine. But we expect we'll have a digital copy of the instructor guide and the technician guide of the skills, quizzes, all paperwork, the instructor prep guide, supplemental resources, everything will be available. Additionally, the student resources will be available. So the supplemental resources that you can hand out during class to the students at cpsboard.org/curriculum-resources. And again, that will happen on Monday, December 2nd. Right now, we are on pace to meet that timeline and have that all available to you. So it will give you 2 full months to review the materials.
With that, I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. I don't think there's any other questions. I'll get those if they come up. This is what Tammy was going to, so I'll let Tammy explain this a little bit more if she needs to.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a couple things. This is a different website. So this is the homepage of the National Child Passenger Safety Board's website, cpsboard.org. And yes, I'll drop the websites. I was just typing that in into the chat for you. But on cpsboard.org, starting sometime next week, we will have a quick link in that center section there. So it's going to replace the support your work section. It'll be right under technician resources, instructor resources, and CPS coordinator resources. And that link will take you, if you click in that the button in that area, it will take you to a brand new web page, which is going to be as you're seeing down there at the bottom of your screen, 2024-curriculum-launch. If you go there right now, there's nothing there. I don't even think it'll come up. It'll be built out for you next week. We will use that web page to communicate all types of information to you. So the questions that were received today, we'll put in FAQs that were received at the last presentation about the curriculum. We'll put the dates in there for you that you need to know. And also then there'll be quick links over to the student resources at curriculum-resources and the instructor resources at instructor-resources. So it's coming soon. I'm sorry that we don't have it ready quite yet, but we're in the final push of the curriculum as well. And so it's just, it'll be ready next week for you. Additionally, we'll be adding a series of webinars or a webinar series that will be called Go Time, prepping to deliver the 2024 CPST certification training curriculum. We'll be offering that nationally, that same webinar about probably twice a month for the first 6 months. And that's for you as instructors to come and if you want to learn how to get started in prepping to teach the 24 curriculum, we will be board members of the National Child Passenger Safety Board will be presenting, and there'll be time during each of those Go Time webinars for questions and answer session. Additionally, one of them will be recorded and posted in the Child Passenger Safety Learning Portal so that you can access it. If you're unable to attend one of the webinars, you can attend it at your convenience. There's also states who are asking National Child Passenger Safety Board members to present this information. So some states may be offering that webinar or that workshop as well. And again, it's called Go Time. So we want you to feel comfortable in knowing what resources are available, how to access those resources, and then how to get started in reviewing them so that you're ready to teach the curriculum. Thank you, Claudia. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions before we move on? Right. With that, we want to remind you that the National Instructor Forum happens monthly, and we don't have specific dates yet for November, December, and January, but I wanted to make you aware of what's coming up. In November, we'll have a mentoring workshop about getting connected, finding CPST resources in your community. That's for CPSTs who are new to the CPST family, and they need to get connected within their communities. So this will be a workshop being led by individuals who are very good at connecting CPSTs within the community. So we hope you'll join us for that in November. In December, we will have a forum kind of like this one today, except it will talk about the National Digital Car Seat Check Form and how that is incorporated into the 2024 curriculum revision. So learn a little bit more about how we're going to be presenting that and as instructors in the December forum. We will also, as Tammy just mentioned, launch the Go Time series for the new curriculum, and that will start in December as well. So you'll have kind of a double duo for December for the instructor forum. So hopefully you'll come and join us for that in December. And then in January, we'll be having a forum on becoming a child passenger safety technician instructor. We've had several technicians ask how to do this, what the process is, and so we will talk about that during that forum. And then, of course, the Go Time series will continue through January. None of these are posted yet for registration, but just know that to keep checking at cpsboard.org/webinars or at carseateducation.org/CPST-resources. Either place you can register for any of the instructor forums. And that QR code will actually take you to the Safety Connection page with the CPST resources page. Okay. And then we wanted to remind you about Safety Connection. Safety Connection is is not only yours, it's everybody's, but there is a page at Safety Connection for you as a child passenger safety technician. Not only can you go there and help people go there to find dedicated resources in child passenger safety, you as a technician can get all the resources you need to conduct a car seat check. Everything you need for that car seat check at that moment is available to you from one location. You don't have to shop other websites. It's very helpful with that sense. And then you can also schedule virtual car seat check sign-off observations. If you have caregivers who can't locate a child passenger safety technician, they can come to Safety Connection and get their seat check virtually. So we would love for you to promote this within your communities and use it yourself as a technician. It's at carseateducation.org/safety-connection. Okay. With that, if there's not any other questions, we will give you back some time of your day. We're just a tad bit early, but that's okay. If you do have questions and you want to stay on for just a few minutes, feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. Tammy and Cassandra are still online, so we can do that if you would like. Otherwise, you're free to go.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, Stephanie, please feel free to unmute. Oh, I think I have it stuck. Hold on just a second. Second. It was supposed to be unmuted, but I don't know why it's not.
Because you know what my answer is for that.
Yeah. Okay, we should be able to do it now. So if you were trying to talk, go ahead and unmute.
Stephanie T, do you have a question? You have your hand up.
I have a question. Are there
Go
two
ahead.
of us?
$30 each. That's just $60.
There's lots of us on it still, but yes, you can go ahead.
The network participation. If it consumer cellular dot.
What? May I speak?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay. I heard you say something about the skills testing, that you're going to have questions like, is the tether attached? Is this or is that? So it sounds as if there will be hints about what to look at. Am I understanding that correctly?
It's asking very specifically if something is correct. So it is not as generalized as it was before.
So how do you, or in what part of the curriculum are people tested to see if they see something and they know what to do without being told?
It's
In other
not
words-
it's not all very specific prompts, but we also still do misuse scenarios in the curriculum as well.
Okay, so that's where people will be asked holistically to look at the situation and provide their own prompts.
Well, there's a lot of additional information in these questions. So that's why we have provided the car seat manuals and the vehicle manuals in order for them to arrive at the decision that is correct.
Oh, I'm not suggesting that they can't arrive at it. I just wondered, one of the things that's an issue is what do you look for?
Well, I think
And that will come later in the curriculum, you're saying, in the misuse.
well, it's throughout. And I think when we're looking at forms, we also have prompts there. And so whether that's harness use, X, Y, Z, we have prompts as we're going through. And so it's trying to pull it all together in steps more so, but it's not just giving them the answer. We have tested it, and it still takes a while for people to understand.
Okay, thank you.
Karen.
Is the event still a test in the new curriculum?
It is a required skill in the new curriculum.
Okay, good.
So, yeah. I didn't add that to the, we didn't change it really. There were a few changes in wording, but we didn't update that requirement, but it is still a requirement in your certification.
I originally did not like it, but I think it's great now once we saw people struggle. So good job.
And so I think if you have seen the great work that we have put into the curriculum and Tammy's presentation, communication is really important. And so we can learn skills, but if we're not able to communicate that to our caregivers, then we're not prepared to be technicians to provide that level of advice. And so I think it's really important to still have that as a final test.
I agree 100%.
Thank you, Karen. Anyone else? Right, we'll take that as a no. Thank you so much, Cass, for being here today, and Tammy as well, taking time out from your day to be here. And we look forward to seeing everyone next month. Have a happy day. See you.
Thank you.